Welcome in Belgium, or as we say in English, welcome to Belgium. And in this cruise port captain video, we're going to tell you about a common cruise port on Northern European itineraries, Zeebrugge. Zeebrugge. I keep messing this up. I don't know why. Anyway, when you think of Belgium, what do you think of? Well, you probably think of Belgian waffles, and you can see I'm eating a delicious one there. We'll tell you about that in the other video about port excursions, what we actually did that day. But you also might be thinking of the mussels from Brussels, especially if you're a kid from the 90s, and that is Jean-Claude Van Damme, all-time cop, one of my favorite all-time movies. So join us for this short basics to help you get off on the right foot and enjoy your time in Zeebrugge. First things to know is that Zeebrugge is a commercial port first. It is not a pretty cruise port terminal at all. So this is important because you cannot get just off the ship yourself and walk into the city or actually the small town that is Zeebrugge. So keep that into your planning. If you are on the ship's excursions, they'll take care of you. You don't have to worry about it. But if you're doing it on your own, you will have to add a little bit of extra time into your planning to account for that extra little shuttle ride so you can get out of the port safely. Now, something to you could stay in Zeebrugge all day long because it is a European vacation town. So we were there in April. It didn't look like this in April because in April it was really quite kind of overcast when we arrived, and it didn't look pretty. And it was pretty quiet, even though it was around Easter. But if you go during the summer month, it could be quite busy with just tourists in Zeebrugge, and you really wouldn't even need to leave anywhere if you just wanted to have a nice quiet day and not venture out further into Belgium. And it's no big shock here because Belgium is a part of the EU, that euros are the monetary unit in Belgium. But what you want to be sure of is if you want small cash on you, you probably don't need it. I mean, we used a credit card everywhere, and I think, had a little bit of euros on ours from another trip. But if you do need euros, there's more than likely you're not going to be able to get them on the ship, because most ships usually stay in US dollars unless they're moving into their transatlantic season and moving over to Europe. So, if you have euros, great, but more than likely you'll be fine without them. We were no problem. We even could buy everything with it. The language in Belgium, they have officially three languages. They have French, Flemish, and German. I hope I have that right. And Flemish is kind of an equivalent to Dutch. So I'm going to give you a short lesson. I always say Dutch sounds like Klingon. I do not mean that offensive to any Dutch person, especially the Dutch people that are part of my family, but it does sound very different than what we were expecting. So I'm going to give you a little short lesson here. I got my little whiteboard. So this word, look at this, see if you can see it. All right. So that's the word. You probably guessed it means good, right? And if I was an English speaker, as I am, I would say good. Good probably is how it come out. But how it comes out in Flemish and Dutch is goeie. Goedemorgen. Goedemorgen. Whoops, I'm sorry. I missed the D there. Huda. Huda. So you can see that G is very guttural, and that's what it always sounds like Klingon to me. So not a big deal because most Belgian people speak English, certainly in the tourist areas. Where it gets a little trickier is like if you're on a train or a bus and you're trying to listen for the sound of the city in your English speaking ears, it might sound a lot different than it actually sounds from a Flemish speaker. So you want to be sure you have the spellings of things. Otherwise, you're going to be fine. Immigration also should not be a problem for you as a U.S. citizen. So if you've looked at our other videos, the UK recently implemented a electronic travel authorization called the EAT, where you needed to pre-register before visiting the UK. The EU is moving to this as well, but they don't have it up and running. And as you know, with most things that are kind of government working, they had already estimated that it would be ready by now, but it's not. So as of right now, it was very easy to get off the ship as a U.S. citizen. There was no additional paperwork. This could be changing in the future. So be careful when you are planning your itinerary that you are looking up the State Department's latest information so you are well aware if you need to fill out an ETA electronic type form or not. Another thing that can influence your day in Zeebrugge is in Belgium in general, especially being in Northern European, is the weather. It can rain a lot, and probably when your ship is there, that will be the biggest thing you need to contend with. I lived in Paris for a while. I had a great opportunity to have a work experience there. And that's the thing that surprised me the most, how much the weather could change and how fast it could change. So, regardless if it looks sunny, unless it says it's 110% sunny, which they're never going to agree to that, we always suggest you bring a raincoat with you or you bring an umbrella with you because you never know where you're going to get caught. So, weather-wise, it was beautiful the day we were there, but we were ready for anything, and you should be too. As an American, this can kind of freak you out when you visit European countries. The mainland European is that toilets, if you're using a public toilet, they may want you to pay for it. It's usually just a 50-cent euro piece, but of course you may not have that on you because you don't have any euros on you. So our best advice there is when you go to a restaurant or you go to a museum, go ahead and use the toilet. Use it when you can because you'll never know when you can't find another one. They're also in the train, and the trains that we used were very clean and not an issue to use them on the train as well. But having to go and not having that 50 euro cent piece could really put a cramp in your day. I was going to say no pun intended, but cramp in what we're talking about doesn't really have a pun. But just be aware and maybe either have some change on you if that is an issue for you, or always go when you have the chance. So to give you an idea, so Zeebrugge is kind of going to be advertised in your ship's itinerary probably as Bruges. Well, it's not. It's one of those places where a port is not a port. So you can see I took this from Google Maps, and Bruges is actually 11 miles away. Not too far, but it's also not, you can just walk off the ship and you're going to be in Bruges city center. Your cruise ship might also offer excursions to Brussels too, which is, you can see, is 71 miles away. If you go to Brussels on a cruise ship excursion, you're going to spend a lot of time in a coach and maybe not as much time in Brussels. We have done Brussels separately, and it is really a fantastic city. So I think you kind of have to balance if you're never going to be able to get to Belgium again, or you don't see it in your near future, it might be worth it. But otherwise, Bruges is an excellent, wonderful, fun little city as well, and there's much to do there. This will give you some price points of what the excursions was. So this is in 2025, and I'm going to have to get my glasses on for this because I can't see without my glasses. Okay, so they had a Best of Brussels. You can see that is a crazy $275 a person excursion. A walking tour of Bruges, $179, which really is insanity to me. This is a screenshot of the application from the cruise ship on my phone, and you can see what we paid to the right for the train ticket to Bruges was €7.80 one way. So it's 15 euros each way. You can tell there's quite a bit of difference between those two prices. And, you have to decide for yourself what makes sense. But for us to do it on our own was a significant savings. And the port excursions, video will tell you exactly how we did it, how we walked to the train station and bought our tickets. But I'll give you a little bit more information now to show you just how easy it is too if you want to do Bruges on your own. Once you take the shuttle from the ship to the kind of the terminal area of the cruise port, right across the street there was a third party vendor that you could take a bus to Bruges yourself. So I can't remember how often these ran. I believe it was 30 euros per person for the round trip. Don't quote me on that. That stuff can all change. But this really was as soon as you walked out of the cruise terminal, there was a little gift shop right there. And it's the same place. I only just took a second picture, the one to the right, so you can really see the flag and that we are right next to the water. So that's an option too. Now, we didn't do that because we didn't like the time restrictions because of how often those buses ran. And we knew doing our research before going that taking the train would be a really easy way. And there was a couple of nice things about taking the train. And if you're going to do it yourself to Bruges, it's kind of a 3-step process. So this is the high level process, and I'll go more into it on the other video if that's what you want to do. It's basically you have to walk from the cruise port to the local train station. It took about a 20-minute walk, nothing terrible, easy peasy. Then you have to buy a ticket. The machines were in English as well, and you can see I'm helping some of our fellow travelers that day buy their train tickets. Want to keep your tickets with you because you do sometimes need them to get out of a station, so keep them with you. And then the third thing is just know what the train schedule is. And you can see from this picture of the train schedule that they left basically every hour, and it only took about 20 minutes to get into Bruges itself. Well, we hope this helps you have a great time in Zeebrugge in Bruges. If you have any questions, always feel free to leave them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them. And of course, like and subscribe. The more you subscribe, the more we can go out into the world and help you with these basics. We know if you have this information, it'll set you on a much better course and you'll be able to save money and have a great time. Until then, talk soon.